What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Dead on Dave, back once again. Thank you for coming back to the channel. Man, I am completely emotionally and physically drained. I'm exhausted. What a WrestleMania that we had. We're going to get into it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I was really happy. We're going to go through it match by match. I'm going to go back and watch it now as again and react after each segment. So that should be a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed WrestleMania. I know the build wasn't great, but I think considering how bad the build was, I think we got an amazing card. Top to bottom, it was very solid. There's some things to gripe about, and I will get into that. But overall, there is a lot, and I do mean a lot, to be happy with. This was quite an amazing Mania on a lot of levels. Now, I was thrilled with it. Plain and simple. I was thoroughly entertained throughout. It got me off my couch a few times, which caused me pain, but that's okay because it's wrestling pain. I really did enjoy it. I had a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's start with the Intercontinental Championship match, which ended right about at the 25-minute mark of the show. That was the first thing. I just watched it again right now, so that's why I'm commenting on it first. So here we go. Daniel Bryan wins this match. This seems to be a very polarizing match. Some people seem to be really happy with it. Other people are disappointed. I think the people who are disappointed with the match are the ones who really did get bogged down by the strange build and the fact that basically they burned us out before the match. Now, I feel that this match delivered in a lot of ways. It could have been a little bit longer, but I feel there was a lot of spots in it. I enjoyed the hell out of some of the high risk moves that we saw in this match that we normally don't see anymore. It's been 6 years since we've had a ladder match at WrestleMania, and they didn't disappoint. These guys went for it. Wade Barrett with an amazing suplex onto Stardust off the top of a big ass ladder. Luke Harper's power bomb on Dean Ambrose through the ladder. That was incredible. There were plenty of really good spots. And it kind of built. It started like everybody got their offense in and everyone was diving onto each other, and that was fine and dandy. But that was how it started, and then it just kind of kept building from there. And the ending, we got the ending I think most people wanted to see, which was pretty cool. Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, top of the ladder, headbutting, and then Daniel getting the victory, outlasting the show off. I thought it was a really good end to the match. I'm happy that Bryan won. I'm a little surprised that there was no Sheamus. But it makes a lot of sense. We didn't get Sheamus on the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which I was very disappointed with mostly, aside from I think they did the Mizdow thing pretty well. We didn't get him there. Didn't think we would because it was on the pre-show. So I was basically banking on him being here. Well, he didn't show up, and that means that they're saving him for tonight, Monday Night Raw. I think we're going to see him get into an angle with Daniel Bryan. That's when they're going to have him make the turn. He should be coming in and starting shit with Daniel Bryan tonight. So that should be pretty damn interesting. I think it's a really cool way to go. More than likely, I see Daniel Bryan and Wade Barrett having a title match tonight. Wade Barrett invoking his rematch clause. They having a title match tonight. Him beating Wade Barrett, and then Sheamus coming out and attacking Daniel Bryan. That's what I'm going to assume is going to happen. I'm sure there's a couple better ways that they could do it, but that's what I'm thinking. So as far as the first match of the night, I felt it was a really good way to kick off the show. If they weren't going to go another route, they could have went with Orton and Rollins in this spot, but considering what we got, and not only in the next match with Rollins and Orton, but even later on, I don't feel it was a bad move. I thought it was a really smart decision to go really get the crowd on their feet, and the crowd was hot. 76,000 people or whatever it was. Absolutely amazing. A lot of people. They seemed to be really into the match. They seemed to be into everything, to be completely honest. They booed where they needed to boo, but man, they were reacting, and that's the important thing. the hunger for the WWE product is still there. Even if we don't always get fed the meal that we want, the hunger is still there. People are wanting to see these stars, and there are so much talent right now on the roster, and the way that they're positioning some of the guys, and we'll get into that throughout the course of this review. The way they are positioning certain guys, it's really making things very interesting to see where we're going to go from here. So that's 25 minutes in. Let's check out and see what is next. Before we get into the Rollins-Orton match, I want to talk about a couple of things real quick. I'm sorry to skip around, but real quick. First off, the way they constructed the stage, I don't have a problem with how they did it. They were trying to get maximum amount of people into the stadium. They accomplished that. I think that the setup was pretty damn good, actually. It doesn't need to be overstated. I like the fact that it was quite simple for the most part, but I think they did a really good job of setting up. Also, a lot of people are complaining about the fact that it was light the entire time, that it was daylight. That's not a problem with me. I have no issues because WrestleMania should have a different feel to it. Maybe not all the time, but WrestleMania should feel special. And having WrestleMania an outdoor event, even if it's still daylight, it gives it that extra little bit of a feel. I thought it was a cool thing that we don't get to see very often. And just a very interesting way to watch a huge program. So I didn't have a problem with either of those aspects, which some people were complaining about. It just it goes to show just how crazy some people can be, but they'll nitpick to the extreme levels that they will nitpick. Well, the WWE they had to do this during the day. Really? I don't even think that the daylight took that much away from Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker. I really don't. Would it have been better in the dark? We don't know that. We have no idea. There's no way we could possibly know. We can maybe think that you might know, but you don't. I think that the fact that you got something a little bit different and unique made WrestleMania feel a little bit more special. So that's just my take on that. All right, on to Orton and Rollins. 47 minutes in, Randy Orton gets the victory over Seth Rollins in an absolute stunner of a match. This match is probably going to go untalked about, and it really shouldn't be, because this is a fantastic match. I liked it better than the first match. If I was giving ratings, I would give the Intercontinental title ladder match about a 7. This I give an 8.5, maybe a 9. I absolutely love this match. Look, it's hard hitting. There are unbelievable spots. Yes, the Stooges got involved, but Orton didn't let it get in the way. It kept building. You want to see a story being told. And it was an elegant story throughout the entire thing. These two can just go, and they know each other so well. They do really bring out a lot of great things from one another. It's a really interesting dynamic that they have. It's so much fun to watch. Seth Rollins, I would thought he was going for what I like to call the Ark of God, which is otherwise known as the Phoenix Splash, but still I like the Ark of God. And he rolls through it. I have to say, man, he is maybe the best pure athlete in wrestling right now. I mean, best just pure athlete. He is such an athletic freak. He really is. I don't think he gets quite the credit. You got to understand, yes, there might be better high flyers. I mean, Adrian Neville obviously comes to mind. But for Seth Rollins' size, how lean and long he is, he's quite tall. It's impressive. The way he's able to really contort himself and just glide through the air. He is an unbelievably gifted athlete, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Now, what really makes this match extra special is not only probably the coolest RKO out of nowhere I've ever seen, but maybe the greatest counter to any finisher that you could possibly think. Seth Rollins going for the curb stomp. He goes for it. Randy pushes himself up, launches Seth into the air, and catches him for an RKO. It is stunning. It is that should be a GIF. It should be a GIF because it's awesome. My God, he floats in the air, flings him into the air, and then snatches him down. What a difficult thing to do. To get that right. Can you imagine how hard that has to be to hit properly? And they did. They nailed it, and it was wonderful. And Randy Orton gets a great victory. Of course, the night would not be a terrible loss for Seth Rollins, as we know, and we'll talk about that, of course. But this was a lot of fun. The match was fun, and that's that's the theme of the night. Every single match there was fun. I had fun all night, and it really just kept going through this match. So 47 minutes in, Randy Orton gets the victory. Awesome match. I had a lot of fun with it. I give it about an 8.5, maybe a 9, maybe a 9. Let's see what's next. 55 minutes in, the first really kind of cool entrance of the night happened for Sting. It was kind of this kabuki theater-ish type vibe, people banging on drums and everything, and gongs and all kinds of crazy shit, and Sting paint. That was pretty cool. This match was incredible to me, and I'll get into that. But I just wanted to touch on the entrance of Sting, and then of course, you can't talk about the entrance of Sting without talking about the entrance of the game Triple H. Now this is weird. For some reason, I really liked the Terminator thing. I thought it was a little hokey. I did, but at the same time, it was kind of badass. I mean, Triple H holding the friggin' the heads of the Terminators, that was cool. I didn't think I was going to like it when it started. When I heard about the idea for it, I was like, ugh. But I really, really did enjoy it. I enjoyed the entrances quite a bit, both of them. Going back to Sting for a second, I got to give Sting a lot of credit, man. I've been watching his workout videos this week from him, what he's been doing to get in shape for this. And it paid off. Sting looked in great shape. Now, I know some of you might be like, oh, you look flabby. He's 56, 57 years old. He looks phenomenal for that age. I mean, really does. It looks just in tremendous shape. He did not wear a shirt, which is awesome. He just wore his little singlet thing, and it was awesome. I loved it. That was pretty cool. He didn't need to wear a shirt because he really has seemed to have rededicated himself to getting himself in great condition. So let's get into the match a little bit deeper. First off, how much fun did Sting look like he was having? My God, he looked like he was having an absolute blast. The fans dug him. I mean, it was everything you wanted to see out of a first match of somebody's career in the WWE, under these circumstances, being the last holdout and everything. But you know what? Yes, it was many years too late, but God, it was still special. The crowd was into it. Sting was hitting moves that I didn't think he could still hit. He did a nice, beautiful drop kick, as a matter of fact. He went to the top rope and dove outside of the ring. I mean, there was just so much going on. It was incredible. And I have a phone call. It's like I was saying before I got the phone call, Sting really seemed like he was putting out all the stops. We saw so much in this match. The match itself was just good. It was going in a good spot, a good place, it seemed like. They were both getting in offense. Sting was doing all of his yells and banging on his chest and all that stuff. Triple H was hitting moves, hitting the crotch chops a little bit, which, at the time, I got to be honest, I didn't really think anything about. So when Sting locks in the Scorpion Deathlock and everything, I was pretty damn surprised when DX comes out to. I guess it was obvious. I guess most people should have saw it coming, and maybe a lot of people did. I hadn't heard too much people saying, "Oh, we're gonna see DX and then NWO get involved." I didn't think that was gonna happen. It was quite surprising to me, and it was awesome. It was awesome. I absolutely loved it. I love the fact that first we got DX in there and Sting kind of took them all out. And then after Triple H does get the upper hand, we get the NWO. And just everybody seemed genuinely shocked at that. I was wondering, well, who can come out and help Sting. And to me, I thought, the Wolf Pack. I was waiting for the oh, because Sting was more when he did join the NWO, and people got to remember, Sting was an NWO member. He was a red and black member, and he ran with Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and stuff in there. So I thought that would have been cool. But just to have the NWO, the biggest faction, the regular black and white NWO, the biggest faction of the Monday Night Wars for WCW, clash with the biggest faction in the Attitude Era for WWE, DX, was awesome. I thought it was very, very well done. For those of you saying, "Oh, it doesn't make any sense. Why would the NWO help Sting?" Well, because do your wrestling history and know Sting actually was a member of the NWO. It did happen. It did happen, unfortunately, because that's when I felt things really started to take a turn. I hated him in the NWO. The red face paint and everything. Oh, I hated that. Ugh. But let's talk about a couple of things. For as old as everybody was, I mean, Sean Waltman, Billy Gunn, friggin' Road Dogg, they're all old. They're all in their late 40s. They look good. They look, as always, New Age Outlaws always look good. Waltman looks good. They're moving around well. Those aren't the ones to really talk about. The three that were surprising was just Nash is always in great shape, but Hogan looked really, really good for a guy who really doesn't seem to be able to move very well anymore. He moved better than he usually does, it seemed. He looked really good. And Scott Hall looked amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. And to see them actually brawl was it was incredible. I thought it was really cool that Sean Waltman is the guy who started all the physical contact with Hulk Hogan, though, because, that's well documented. Waltman had a problem with Hogan, and he ran him into the pole, and Hogan took a nice little bump. And then Kevin Nash comes over and gets his hands on his little buddy, Pac, and then he takes a spill from Billy Gunn, Kevin Nash does, and it looked like he grabbed his quad. I was like, oh no, he actually tore a quad, because everybody likes to joke. No, did you hear the noise? That was Kevin Nash tearing a quad. Everyone likes to joke about it. It's not funny, it's fucked up. But I really thought he tore a quad when Billy Gunn jumped on him. I was like, oh no, the guy tore a quad. No. I really thought it, but it looks like he's okay. But the one that shocked me was Scott Hall getting back body dropped on the mat outside. I thought, wow, we're talking about a guy who just a year ago did not look like he would ever be able to be breathed on by a professional athlete. And he took a back body drop outside, and he's not even that far removed from a hip surgery, but he looks fantastic. I mean, he looks so damn good. It was such an awesome moment. I was really, really happy with all of that. Now, let's get into the elephant into the room. Should Sting have lost this match? Now, I was an advocate for Sting obviously winning, and it makes total sense. But you know what? This was actually the right call. Now, Sting, yes, does it kind of suck that his first match ever in the WWE at WrestleMania, no less, is a loss? Sure. But it's a microcosm, and that's what was the point of it. It was a microcosm of WWE getting the victory over WCW. I don't look at it as a burial for Sting. The fact that they had mutual respect after the match, shaking hands, tells me we're not done with Sting. Sting is going to get some more moments. But I don't want to hear this mess about how Sting deserves a victory at WrestleMania. He doesn't deserve anything. That's retarded. Should he probably have gotten it because of his legacy? Maybe, but it shouldn't just be, well, it's a foregone conclusion. Oh, it's crime that Sting doesn't get this victory. No, it's completely fine. And for those of you who want to talk about how this being Triple H's ego, once again, bearing another guy, let's keep in mind here, Triple H's record over WrestleMania in like the past five or 6 years has not been very good. It has not been good. I think he beat Brock Lesnar at Mania. I think he won that match. I think he lost the first one, but I believe he won the Brock Lesnar match at WrestleMania. But other than that, it was losses to The Undertaker. It was losses to Daniel Bryan. I mean, he has lost a lot recently at WrestleMania. So it's okay him getting a victory here. I think it sets up more, and it certainly set up something later on in the evening. For one, it keeps the authority in power, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. You can't run the entire authority being out of power on this night. They didn't do any of the build for Sting to be taken over power or anything like that, but now they have something in place to where they can if they want to. Now there's a little bit more layers that they can reach from and go forward, and we have a big storyline that could lead us into the summer about potentially altering the authority angle within the WWE and who's in charge and all that stuff. So I think they've done a really nice job of setting that up and using WrestleMania to do it without cheapening the event. This match is not cheapened for this outcome. This match is kind of heightened because of the outcome in some ways. I really was happy with it. It was probably the most fun I had of all the matches. All of the nostalgia, seeing Sting do his thing, and I love watching Triple H work. Always have, always will. So I probably had the most fun of any match on the card tonight, and I give it an 8.5. I was really happy with it. I thought it was solid. I don't know how much more they could have done with it, considering the age of the guys and everything. They gave us everything they could have for this match, aside from a Sting victory. But you know what? WrestleMania is not just this mythical friggin' thing where every match has to be what the fans want to see. You know, we got to give the outcomes, I should say. We have to give Sting the win because it's going to make everybody happy. It's going to make more people happy. No, there's still a business. There's still business that's running the next day. You've got to think a little bit long term, even with WrestleMania. We got our payoff. We got Sting in the ring. That was the payoff, not necessarily a Sting victory. So keep that in mind before you judge this match a little bit too hard. And I'm talking mainly to Triple H haters out there. So let's go ahead and let's see what's next on the card. I thought that was a great match, though. I had a lot of fun. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. Okay, about an hour 27 in, there was a promo for the WWE Network. 3 new shows that are coming to the network of all of adult orientation. One is an animated series, looks to be by Seth Green, taking wrestlers and going making them younger and going to camp, called Camp WWE. Looks to be an adult cartoon series, kind of like Robot Chicken, Family Guy, and stuff like that. So that was a little bit surprising to see. This is more of an edgier content. Then there's going to be a show called Swerved that is at least done by, produced by, created by Johnny Knoxville of Jackass. So who knows what that's going to be like. And then the third show, it's a Jerry Springer Too Hot for Television show. It's absolutely crazy. I probably the most shocked I was all night was to see that promo and seeing the new direction of the network. Seeing, for one, more content on the network is an absolute must, and more scheduled television shows like this, and not just things like Countdown and previous Raws and SmackDowns, I think are very important for the overall marketability of the network. I'm excited for all 3 of these. I want to watch all 3 of these shows. I think they'll be very good. So tell me what you guys think about that. I thought it was interesting. Very interesting, in fact. An hour and 29 minutes in about, Daniel Bryan backstage with Maria Menounos, who, man, if they could hire her to do backstage interviews full-time, that would be great because she's delightful. I like her so much, and she seems to really love the business. So I really would like to see more of her. Daniel Bryan backstage talking about his victory. We get a nice moment with a whole bunch of legends, all former Intercontinental champions, and all really giving him props and putting him over and hitting their catchphrases. Bret Hart by far got the biggest reaction, even more than Ric Flair, which was pretty cool. But you had Piper and Patterson and Ricky Steamboat, and it was just really cool. And then, of course, Ron Simmons comes in as all of the Hall of Famers are yesing. And Ron Simmons comes in, and I don't know if people caught it, but Maria said, "Ron, did you ever win the Intercontinental Championship?" And he damned. It was great. It was a really cool moment. and really giving Daniel Bryan a little bit more of a rub if he needed more of a rub. But it was cool, and I think this is a really good thing. I didn't bring this up earlier, but I think having Daniel Bryan as the Intercontinental Champion is a really cool thing to do. Not only because it makes people happy, the fact that he's a champion, he got a victory, but I think it's good for his career. Yeah, you can't always be in the spotlight and be a major player in the main event scene. Sometimes there's going to be rotation, but the fact that he's the Intercontinental Champion leaves him right there on the cusp of being back in the main event scene. And not only that, having him as champion brings new prestige onto the belt and allows him to elevate himself, the belt, and anyone else that he competes with. It's a win-win situation, and whenever they want, they can easily put Daniel Bryan back into the main event spot because he has that legitimacy. So I don't see any problems with him being the champ here. I think it's a really, really good move, especially if the idea is to really emphasize the titles. So these titles, the mid-card titles. So tell me what you think about that. Moving on. Okay, about an hour and 48 minutes into the event now. It is the end of the Divas tag team match. Okay, now, first thing I'm going to say, let's get this out of the way. Yes, the title should have been defended. Yes, it should have been defended. However, it was not. And let me tell you, it didn't really matter, I don't think. It would have been a more important match, of course, had it been defended. But the fact that it wasn't, I don't think takes away too much. And I'll tell you why. These four ladies delivered. Absolutely delivered. First thing I want to touch on, Paige coming out. I love how hot she looks. Not only that, but she looks like she genuinely enjoys what she does. When she came out, she was singing her own theme song. Like, I mean, not over the loudspeaker. I mean, she was lip syncing. Like, as she's walking out, you could see her, like, just singing along with it. I thought that was awesome. It's really cool. So, her, AJ, and the Bellas get into it, and they're not holding back. AJ is getting plastered over and over. I mean, absolutely just waffled once and again. Just getting beat up and not being allowed to get into the match, which really allowed the emphasis to be on Paige, which I thought was a really good thing. Paige did a lot of great shit that was a lot of fun to watch, even in getting beat up. I mean, the fact she is so convincing in what she does is just cool. Then when AJ does get into the match, Paige goes into a different role of just destructor outside and just beating up Brie Bella and throwing her into the stairs and everything, while AJ picks up the victory with the Black Widow submission hold. So here's what you do. You don't have the Divas title defended. Okay, fine. But what you've done is you have solidified a new challenger to the belt in AJ, if that's the route you want to go. You always have the fact that you can play off AJ and Paige's kind of rivalry that they have with each other, even if it's just a rivalry of going after the belt. And now you have there's a clear vulnerability in the Bellas. So there's all kinds of ways that you can go building forward off of this. So I really enjoyed what they were able to do with the match. I thought it was very well done. It was a lot of fun. Again, there was just nothing disappointing. I get it wasn't a no, don't get me wrong. This is not Charlotte and Sasha Banks, so I give it a 6.5, a 7, probably a 7. Let's be a little more fair with it. I think a 7 is a good score for the match. It certainly was not a bad match, but it wasn't an epic encounter either. But it certainly was no bathroom break. And coming off of what the bathroom break of the night was, which was that musical performance, which I'm not going to say was terrible, but it certainly wasn't good. It was just so. It was like, if you watched it, it was kind of because you had to watch it. You couldn't fast forward, and you couldn't pee for as long as they sang, so you kind of just were stuck into it. But it is what it is, and this match followed that up nicely. I thought it brought the crowd back into it. I don't think the crowd was really expecting that much, and then these girls come out and hit a whole bunch of moves that were fantastic, and they went for it. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good match. Moving on. About an hour 58 or so into the event, we have the recap of the Hall of Famers. The Hall of Famers come out and get one more little spot of the night, which is cool. One of my favorite things is just hearing Howard Finkel introduce these guys. I look forward to it every single year. Why can't they get the Fink more work? Why? He's great. I love Howard Finkel. Give this guy a little more work. What's the problem? Give Fink a chance. Have him call NXT. Have him do the ring announcer for NXT. That would be badass. Sorry, Eden. Or sorry, JoJo. But I like the Fink. Shit. The Fink needs work. I love that guy. And anybody's fears that Kevin Nash did tear a quad was put to rest because he came out in a tux and he was completely fine and walked very well. So he's not hurt. That's a good thing. Next up is Rusev versus John China Cena. Okay, so about 2 hours and 27 minutes comes the finish of the John Cena Rusev match for the United States Championship. And okay, this is where I feel some of the problems of the show is. And this is just my personal choice. I don't see the point of having Rusev lose the match. That being said, the way they did it did not bother me much. I enjoyed the opening of it. I like Rusev coming out in the Russian tanks and everything and all the Russian military stuff. I thought that was cool. It gave it a bigger feel. And then Cena coming out and that pro-America spot before Cena came out was awesome, by the way. I really enjoyed that. So they had a lot going for it going forward. The match itself was well worked. Surprisingly, John Cena hit some incredible moves, including almost a springboard off the middle rope into a stunner. I mean, I have never seen that before. Not just from Cena. I've never seen it. That was an awesome maneuver. Rusev is very limited in what he can do. All right, he, at least up at the WWE level, his character is supposed to be compact and sudden, and he's not slow, but he's plodding. You know what I mean? And he's just very explosive when he hits moves. So that's kind of the character for Rusev, is when he hits you with maneuvers, they're always high impact and they're explosive and they're sudden and booming. They're quite nice. And when you have a guy like Cena taking these moves, it kind of brings a little bit extra to it. I really enjoyed it. Rusev also pulled out some stuff we haven't seen out of him. A flying headbutt from the top rope from about 3/4 of the ring. That was cool. That was a really, really good maneuver. The match went well. We see the ending with Rusev getting distracted because he plows into Lana, and then John Cena is able to pick up the victory and win the United States Championship. Now, that's all fine and dandy. I feel the ending could have been a little bit more planned out. Lana, I'm glad she was there, and I can see that even in the loss, they were trying to keep Rusev looking somewhat strong. I don't quite get the logic of taking the belt off of Rusev here unless there's a bigger build for it. I don't see the need for having John Cena to win it. I don't think his name really adds a lot of value to the United States Championship because simply nobody cares. Yeah, it's John Cena and he's one of the greatest champions and blah, blah, blah. But him being United States champion right now really doesn't mean that much. It's not going, I got to see every United States title match now because John Cena's in it. No, because I don't think most of us believe he's going to have the title very long anyway. And the question is, and this is the biggest question, what do you do with Rusev now? That's the question. That's the problem. What do you do with Rusev? Where do we go with Rusev? Are we going to have a split from Lana? If we do, is Lana going to become a face? It seems like everybody kind of wants to cheer for her anyway because she's so goddamn fine. What do you do with these two? And does Rusev kind of fall back into this with... Look, he doesn't have the title anymore. He doesn't have his undefeated streak. He doesn't look like a monster anymore because Cena just took him out. So what do? You either rebuild him and let him go on a really dominant streak with even higher level competition, or he goes back to lower mid-card or a curtain jerker. And that seems unfortunate. So I don't know where to go with Rusev at this point because the top of the card, especially now, seems to be a little more congested than usual. That's what I think about that match. Overall, I give the match a 7.5. I thought it was really solid. Could have been better. I think it would have. This is probably the one exception where I feel it's not like the Sting Triple H match. I feel the outcome of this match really could have been a bigger coup for the WWE. If Rusev would have picked up the victory, it would have been a superlative, and I think that they kind of needed it for this point in the card. That being said, I'm not mad at it. It didn't turn me off. This victory by Cena did not make me go, "Oh God, WrestleMania sucks," because it was done in a good way. It was done in a pretty decent way. It wasn't booked badly. It wasn't booked stupid, even in a bad decision to have Cena win. So that's a positive to me. That's the way I look at that. Moving on. Okay, so right around the 2-hour 40 mark of the show, Stephanie McMahon and Triple H come out and they announce the attendance and everything. And then they get into this whole spiel where it's like, and it's all because of us. And we own the fans. We own the wrestlers. And the authority is back on the power warpath. And I buried Sting and all of this great. It was a cool thing. And then out of nowhere, if you smell, there comes The Rock. And that was cool. I really enjoyed seeing The Rock. He looks like he's in incredible shape, as always, because should not be a surprise. So he comes down, and everything The Rock does takes a long time. A lot of people are complaining that this segment went on a little bit too long, and perhaps it did. For the fans in attendance, see, this was more for them, I feel. For the fans in attendance, they were really into it. They were loving it. They were keeping the suspense going. They were the ones who were prolonging the event more than the Rock and Triple H and Stephanie. So I don't have a problem with how long this segment went because of the fact that it seemed to be dictated and prolonged by the fan interaction and how juiced they were for this segment. So The Rock comes out and they start this build for, one could assume, WrestleMania 32, but maybe it could be earlier than that. We don't know at this point, between Triple H and The Rock. So The Rock saying, let's have our WrestleMania moment, and this is a great rivalry, and I'm going to kick your ass. And Triple H is like, but I already kicked your ass plenty of times during our rivalry, so why should I waste my time with you? And then The Rock starts taking shots at him. And then Stephanie McMahon, the brilliance of Stephanie McMahon shows once again. God, she's great. I love this woman. I love her. Man, I really, really, really like to fuck her. I'm sorry. I know that might not be the most PC thing in the world to say, but Jesus Christ, I would give, I'd give a testicle. I really would. Because she is just absolutely gorgeous. She drives me crazy. Even when she's got too much makeup on, like last night, I find different ways to find her beautiful. And Jesus, her attitude, the spice, the anger. Oh my God, I'm thinking about it. I'm going crazy. I absolutely love it. Stephanie McMahon is just driving me nuts. She's been in my head all damn night. She slaps the shit out of The Rock. She cuts him down perfectly. She kicks him out of the ring and all of this stuff. I love that she hit it. She slapped me. Who slaps better than Stephanie McMahon, by the way? Slaps the hell out of The Rock. And then she starts getting in his face. What, are you going to hit me, Rock? You going to hit a woman? I love that. Kicks him out of the ring. That was cool. And then The Rock goes. It looked like he was going to leave, but instead he walks around the side of the ring and picks out Ronda Rousey. When you want to talk about sexy women, oh, God, Ronda does it. And, by the way, what an awesome shirt Ronda Rousey was wearing last night. Her Vegeta, it's over 9,000 t-shirt. I absolutely loved it. That was cool. By the way, if you want some t-shirts and you like Dead on Dave, go over to deadondave.spreadshirt.com and get your own Dead on Dave merchandise. I'm on cups. I'm on shirts. I'm all over the place. All designs created by the great Isaac Rojas. So go ahead and check that out. Put some money in my pocket, please. Uh, so Ronda comes in to the ring, and The Rock says, I would never hit a woman, but she will. She will. And so Stephanie is doing her thing. And then hold on one second. And Stephanie was trying to play it off. I'm sorry, I had a little bit of distraction there. Stephanie was trying to play it off, but then realizes she might be in a situation here. But she doubles down in only a way that Stephanie McMahon can, telling Ronda this is her ring and this isn't the MMA ring and all that stuff. And Ronda does say something, and she says it so casually and so wonderfully. Any ring I step in is mine. I loved it. Stephanie kept talking shit, and then Ronda gives her the look. And then The Rock, with the line of the night, says, let me explain what that look means. That look means she's going to reach down your throat, grab your insides, and jump rope with your fallopian tubes. What a great line. Only The Rock would give us a fallopian tube jump rope. I mean, absolutely fantastic. Can't get better than that. That was great. So The Rock finally stops the talking, and we get a little bit of action with him and Triple H. They're going at it. He Irish whips Triple H to Ronda Rousey, who judo throws him to the ground in a beautiful manner. And then she goes after Stephanie. Well, actually, Stephanie went after her, and then she puts her in a nice little arm lock and throws it at the ground and throws her out of the ring. It was pretty cool. It was a good little moment. It wasn't anything spectacular, but the segment was pretty cool, and it gave everybody a lot to cheer about, especially if you're a Ronda Rousey fan. I'm sure Dana White was getting hair plugs just so he can rip out new hair because he doesn't have hair. He's bald. So that was a lot of fun, I thought, and just driving the UFC a little crazy right now is fun for me. I don't know why. I love the UFC, so I don't know. I enjoyed it. It was a fun segment. What do you guys think of that one? Put it in the comment section below. Are you tired of The Rock yet? Is anyone tired of The Rock? I'm not, and I hope we're going to see Rock and Triple H one more time. That's a great match. Great matchup. Moving on. About 3 hours and 26 minutes in, it's the ending of the next match, which is Undertaker and Bray Wyatt. Okay, Bray Wyatt had a cool entrance. The Scarecrow thing, I thought it was interesting, giving life to the Scarecrows, and then the Scarecrows kind of doing a Walking Dead type zombie shuffle to the ring with Bray Wyatt. I thought it was kind of cool. I do feel that this match may have been helped a little bit by the darkness, but we don't know that for certain. And kind of at this point, the sun was going down a little bit, so it kind of gave an eerier look anyway because it was getting later in the day. So I think it was unique. I thought for a second, wouldn't it be funny if this was all just a work and Undertaker's not showing up? But The Undertaker did show up, and he really did not disappoint. If you're an Undertaker fan, you got everything that you wanted here. The Undertaker came out. He looked absolutely amazing. Let's start with that. He definitely looked like he refocused, got into shape. He looks like he could do a run if he wanted to. If he wanted to come back and work a few dates, I bet he could do it. He looks like he's in really good shape. The match itself, not spectacular. Definitely not for move's sakes. There was no fantastic wrestling. There were some good moments in the match. We saw some good spots. Bray hitting some really high impact maneuvers. Earlier in the night, it was reported that he had sprained his ankle. If he indeed did do so, it did not really seem apparent. You couldn't tell, at least. So as the match wore on, they both hit their finishers, and nobody's getting the upper hand, and just the way that you would expect it to go. I don't understand giving The Undertaker the victory outside of making him look strong again, but I don't get why the second heel of the night, who you have gone out of your way, just like Rusev, to build and make unbelievably strong at the detriment of other wrestlers, that you have them lose to big stars who simply don't need the victory. Undertaker did not need this win here. He really didn't. A loss does not hurt The Undertaker's legacy. it might affect Bray Wyatt. It took Bray Wyatt 6 months to get his groove back after losing at last year's Mania to John Cena. And now, how can we ever really take Bray Wyatt seriously as a new face of fear or anything like that if he can't go over The Undertaker? And more importantly than that, his WrestleMania record is dog shit. It's dog shit now. He can't beat top stars. So either the WWE is saying, yes, we've built Bray Wyatt to the top of the mid card, and that's where they basically the hottest mid card guy for most of the year was Dean Ambrose. He was the emerging guy, and they put Wyatt over him. So basically, what they're saying is Wyatt is the top mid card guy. Period. That's it, which is fine, but he can't beat established stars. That's what they're saying. They didn't do it last year with Cena. They didn't do it this year with Undertaker. And I don't know if that's the right way to go. I'm not sure if that's the correct booking strategy. However, all that being said, once again, just like the Cena match, the way they did it, because of the emotion involved, because of the way that Undertaker was able to keep fighting and slugging away, and the fact that he just looked so good, and the nostalgia of it really set in towards the end of the match, I didn't mind it. It didn't bum me out that Bray lost. And I thought it would. I really thought that this was a deal breaker for me. If Bray Wyatt lost this match, it was an absolute deal breaker. That wasn't the case. They did it in a way where it keeps me interested. It keeps me wondering what's going to happen. And Undertaker looks really strong here. So now I'm wondering, knowing that The Undertaker is booked for the night and will be at Monday Night Raw, what's he going to do? That's a very interesting thing to think about. What is The Undertaker going to do tonight? Is it going to be a thing with Sting? Is that the story that they build now? Who knows? Does Undertaker does he stick around and go after somebody else? This is an interesting thing to think about, and it could be a lot of fun to try and figure out what they're going to do next. So it did not kill the night for me. And more importantly, I know I'm in the minority when it comes to love for The Undertaker. I'm not the biggest Undertaker guy in the world. I respect everything he's done. I think he's one of the greatest superstars of all time, but he doesn't do it for me. I'm not a huge Undertaker guy. I was when I was a kid, but I know I'm in the minority. I know people love The Undertaker. So they got what they wanted here. They got everything they could have possibly have wanted. And it was cool. Definitely a redemption match. I think that this will qualm anyone's, constant yammering about, The Undertaker's finished and he can't wrestle any type of matches. I think now that most people will give him the benefit of the doubt for going into WrestleMania 32 and hopefully having his final match. And nobody's going to be dreading it. People were dreading this match, and there was really no need for it. So it was interesting, and I enjoyed it. I give the match a 7.5. That's kind of a common theme, but that's what I'm going to go with because really the ending will downgrade it a little bit, but not that much. I think up until the ending, it was probably an 8, 8.5. I thought the match was really good, not because of wrestling, just because of atmosphere and feel and the crowd interaction. It was all just very well done. So that's where I'm at with it. It was an interesting match, and the ending, while taking it a little bit, did not kill it for me. So moving on. Okay, end of the show. Final match, main event. Brock Lesnar comes out, looks like a friggin' badass, like always. I love Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns comes to the crowd. First thing he does is he pushes somebody. I don't know if anybody caught that. Somebody was like trying to hug him, and he pushes him. Roman looked annoyed and perturbed and stuff, and that was kind of cool. They get into the ring. They get their announcement. They get introduced. Lesnar gets actually introduced by Paul Heyman, which is cool. Heyman does what he does, man. He's always great. Give Heyman a mic all the time. I don't have a problem with that. After that, the match starts. Roman goes right on the attack, cuts Brock Lesnar, because I think those friggin' things that are on Roman's wrists cut Lesnar's cheek, or it could have been on purpose. Lesnar was getting bloodied throughout the night. And if it wasn't on purpose, it's the greatest accident ever. Because let me tell you, this match was fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. And it's not just because the end. The ending is fantastic. But this match, you can hate on Roman Reigns all you want. But Jesus, he looked like a badass. They billed him as such a badass in this match because he was laughing at Roman Reigns when Roman kept suplexing him. He was laughing. Yeah, he was getting his ass kicked, but he was laughing and taking it. And he took 4 F5s, which is a little ridiculous, but the point is keeping him strong. Look, I believe I think the Seth Rollins cash-in was an audible. Maybe not a full-on audible, but I believe before the match started, they got Seth and they said, hey, stand here and let's watch this match together. Keep yourself ready. And here's what's going to happen. We're going to have this match built where Roman's going to be a badass. And if the crowd does not respond to him, which they didn't, they were still booing him. Even with all the incredible action that we were getting, it didn't work. The crowd was not rallying to Roman. They were still heavily in favor of Brock Lesnar. But there was only 2 outcomes for this match, it seemed. It was either going to be Roman Reigns winning or the cash-in. So when I feel that there's a possibility that once they figured out that the crowd was not going to accept Roman Reigns, and if Roman were to have won, they may have set the fucking stadium on fire, they decided to go ahead and pull this audible, which is not only a fucking cool thing because Seth Rollins cashing in is just badass, but it's a first. I don't think the Money in the Bank has ever been cashed in the middle of a match. In fact, most people seem confused because they didn't think such a thing could happen. But why not? There's no rules to the Money in the Bank briefcase that says you can't cash in the middle of a match. In fact, the rules are anytime, anywhere. If you have a referee, you can cash in. So why not in the middle of a match? Why not? And this was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. After Brock Lesnar completely busted open, bloody mess, absolute awesomeness. So I don't care for blood. I like it. I don't mind it, but I don't need to see blood to enjoy a match. But this was cool. This blood was badass and well done. So you have Brock bleed like a stuck pig. You have Roman being decimated but still staying in there. Uh-oh. Yeah. You have Roman beat up but still sticking in there and hitting his stupid friggin' Superman punches, hitting spears and all that stuff. Not getting the job done. And then out comes Seth Rollins. Out comes Seth Rollins to cash in the Money in the Bank. Middle of the match. He gets rid of Roman and immediately curb stomps Brock Lesnar. Once, tries to hit him again, then gets into an F5 predicament. That sets up a really weak-looking spear out of Roman. It looks like he kind of tripped into it, or he just wanted to make sure he was really low on Brock Lesnar, but it still looked pretty good. And that allowed Brock Lesnar to be rolled out of the ring, but more importantly, Seth Rollins to regain his footing and deliver a curb stomp to Roman Reigns, pinning him for the 1, 2, 3 and becoming the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Holy shit. Now, honestly, how many people really saw this coming? The betting odds for Seth Rollins cashing in were astronomically low. It was not happening. You were getting amazing odds if you wanted to take this bet because it was not happening. I mean, most people seemed convinced. Having Seth lose earlier in the night, I don't think does anything to hinder the outcome. I don't think it makes anyone look weaker. I don't think it does, because these two guys beat the hell out of each other, and Seth Rollins, who hadn't wrestled for 2 or 3 hours, comes out and takes advantage. He uses his Money in the Bank briefcase stipulation and takes advantage. That's the point of the briefcase. So to not make someone look weak, it's an opportunistic thing, and that's what he did. He waited till these guys were decimated. It's a brilliant move. It keeps Roman Reigns looking very strong. Brock Lesnar has an easy thing to say tonight on Raw, going after Seth Rollins and saying, Seth, you didn't pin me and all this stuff, and he's going to invoke his rematch clause. But here's the thing. Maybe we're going to get Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. Maybe it's going to happen. Maybe this is going to propel Seth Rollins to what we saw a few weeks ago before the Randy Orton shit. Maybe we're going to get that Seth Rollins again. Seth Rollins from the Royal Rumble. Maybe his penance is over. Obviously it is, because he's the fucking champion. But just imagine this feud, even if it's short-lived, Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. Even though it's quite more likely we're going to get Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, but even that, we've seen those two can produce good matches, because Seth can produce with anybody. So this was absolutely spectacular, and this ending elevated the rest of the night. The rest of the night I didn't have a problem with. I enjoyed every single match. I really did, and I had so much fun. But this capped off the show in such a spectacular and shocking way that it elevated everything. Now, I've watched WrestleMania 3 times now. I just finished it for the 3rd time because I'm in pain today and I'm just sitting here watching stuff. So, and I've enjoyed it every single time. I mean, really, I've tried to pick this thing apart. I've tried to be really, really critical of it, but there's not that much. You can nitpick on stuff, but there's really not all that much to really be upset about. I mean, if you have a problem with WrestleMania this year, then you really do have an issue with wrestling. You just have a hatred for WWE that cannot be cured. It can't be qualmed. It can't be satiated. It just can't. You're beyond the realm of fixing. And I think you know that. And that's completely fine. You go ahead and you move on to whatever organization you want. Because if you're not satisfied from this year's WrestleMania, even with a lackluster build, then there's nothing else I can do to convince you. Because this was a solid card. And I don't care that there was a bunch of older guys. I don't care. You know why I don't care there was a bunch of older guys? You know why I don't care that there were part-timers? You know why I don't care that Cena went over again? Here's why. Because these guys are nearing the end of their runs, and we're not going to be able to get it much longer. Hulk Hogan is not going to be able to be coming out and doing this for too many more years. He could die any friggin' time. He's in his 60s. You never fucking know. He's had enough toxic shit in his body that you never know when he's going to go. Wrestlers tend to die young. You've got all of these guys that are walking around that are hurt, injured, fucking, they're beat the hell up. They're not going to be able to do these type of things for much longer. So let's enjoy it while we have it. I don't have a problem with it at all. Because as long as you're doing things like you're doing in the rest of the card, building guys like Seth Rollins, building guys like Roman Reigns, having a good Intercontinental title match with a bunch of contenders in it, then you're doing the right thing because you're doing the thing that you have to do. And the one thing WWE does better than anybody else that they don't get credit for, they balance. It's balance, and that's what you got to have. And that's what they're doing. There's a balance. And WrestleMania was balanced, and it was awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed the card. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and we will see you tomorrow right here on Dead on Dave Productions. Thanks for all the support. Like, subscribe, and share as always, and we will see you later. Peace!